All right, guys, this could be a surreal night for the president. Just moments ago, Joe Biden did a walkthrough of the DNC stage as he gears up to give his big primetime address and pass the torch to Kamala Harris. It's hard to believe, but just 4 weeks ago, it was Joe Biden himself who was ready to accept his party's nomination. That was before a Democratic mutiny forced him off the ticket. But talk about a rush job. The DNC platform that came out today, it still drops Biden's second term 19 times. Despite the backstabbing, however, Democrats and the media cannot stop gushing over how much they respect Joe Biden.
We are going to blow the roof off of the United Center in terms of the praise for Joe Biden.
There is going to be so much love for Joe Biden. There's going to be tears of joy when he walks into that hall. And what he has done, and I love that a major focus of this is going to be on democracy. He literally saved our democracy in the U.S.
And Joe Biden, I believe, will go on the Democratic Mount Rushmore with FDR.
So the president will put on a brave face during tonight's address because deep inside, apparently, he remains bitter. Recent reports suggest he's harboring lingering resentment at old friends like Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer over their roles in his ouster. Friends say he's, quote, stunned and pissed by what happened. And while Biden tries to swallow his tongue, Kamala reportedly wants a clean break from his record. But Democratic allies are not making that easy.
She's his vice president. She can't completely separate herself from his policy.
He's making a strong case for why the choice that voters made in 2020 was the right choice. The progress we've made, reminding people what it was like when he and Kamala Harris took office in January of 2021 and how far this country has come.
The president and the vice president worked together very hard these 4 years. Made a lot of progress, but there's a lot of work left to do.
And we just heard from the president moments ago. Watch here.
Mr. President, are you ready to pass the torch, sir? Are you ready to pass the torch, sir? I am.
Okay, Jessica, this is, as Jesse said when we walked in, this is your convention. I want to turn over to you. I've read a few things today that President Biden, who will speak very late tonight, it's going to be 10:50 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
He apparently is not going to spend a lot of time on his legacy. He apparently wants to look to the future, and he will give a full endorsement to Kamala Harris.
Yeah, that is the expectation. And I do think that what Senator Klobuchar was saying is absolutely correct. You will see tears. You did see tears even when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris did their first joint rally together since he passed the torch to her last week. And the crowd spontaneously started chanting, "Thank you, Joe," especially as they were discussing lowering prescription drug prices, which are one of the marquee achievements for the Biden-Harris administration. I think it's really great that he will be focused on the future. I'm sure that lamenting too much about the past might be too sad for him, since we all know that he did want to be there tonight as at the top of the ticket. But I think that he is excited by the prospect of continuing his legacy through Kamala Harris. He did pick her as his VP for a reason, and I think it's going to be a really nice unifying evening for Democrats.
Greg, it was not too long ago that there were Democratic donors even wondering if Biden and Harris should be the ticket at all. But they have apparently come out in full force. And even after her economic speech got pretty widely panned, including by some left-wing economists, excuse me, they still, I guess right now tonight, they're just going to say, we are all on board that train.
Well, it doesn't matter who the person is. It's the machine. They just slotted out the old guy and put in the second wife. That's how it works. So far, I've heard passing the torch 4 or 5 times just in this show all day. I've heard passing the torch. Not the best analogy when you're dealing with a party that let multiple cities burn to the ground. Do you think maybe we should use something else, like maybe pass the baton? Because, or maybe it is the right one, because this is the party that nearly burned this country to the ground, at least economically, for example. Joe Biden, the only thing he passed was gas. Might be a good thing he let that torch go. You had to wrestle this job away from him like it was car keys from a drunk. And I don't think he's the one that's resentful. It's Dr. Jill. Let's be honest. His life isn't going to change that much. You can tell him he's president. He won't know any better. Paint his house white He'll be fine in Wilmington. But she's not getting another 4 years, right? No more Hamptons galas, no more expensive designer dresses, no more glowing profiles in glossy magazines. She doesn't want to go to Delaware and have to shop at Wilmington outlets. All they have is Anne Klein, Dana. Anne Klein. She's too important for Anne Klein.
I'm going to pass the pipe to.
Do that in honor of Hunter.
There you go.
Pass
I'm
the
passing
pipe.
the pipe to Jesse Waters right here.
I'll hit
As
that,
you just-
Dana.
Okay, there you go.
So they force Joe off the ticket, and then they give him Monday night. Monday night is the worst speaking slot. And then they keep him as far away from Kamala Harris as possible because the guy's so toxic. And then he flies to California to go on vacation after his speech. So if this guy actually decided himself that he was leaving, then he wouldn't be doing this. He would be basking in Chicago all 4 days. He would be here holding court. He would be here in Chicago doing fundraisers for Kamala Harris. But none of that is true. And that's why you can't believe anything the Democrats tell you. Everything is a lie. There is no joy here. The only joy is that Joe's gone. That's it. His legacy is horrible. Everybody caught COVID and he caught a coup. And then there was a land war in Europe and inflation and an invasion. So this ridiculous flattery is so insulting to the American people that this guy should be on Mount Rushmore. It's created this huge credibility gap now in the Democrats. Like, no one believes in Kamala Harris 9.0. No one believes the economy's good. No one believes these polls are real. You're saying, oh, kumbaya, everybody loves each other. Jessica's talking about unity. The Obamas hate Biden. Biden hates the Obamas. He hates Pelosi. The Clintons hate everybody. 10,000 people are out in the street, the Democrats saying Kamala's a killer. And then all weekend, the press called Kamala an economic moron for price controls. This is not, as Biden would say, it's malarkey.
Judge Jeanine, I've thought of you a lot in the past couple of days because I know you spent a lot of time here in Chicago. It is a great city, and believe it or not, we have hit some great weather, some sunny skies, and breeze, no humidity. But there is a little bit of tension, and I could see it today in some of the Democrats who are starting to realize when she starts talking about the economy, the number one issue that voters are going to decide on, even the left-wing media says not so fast. That's a gimmick.
Well, it is a gimmick, and I think everyone agrees that even her speech that she gave, was it on Friday, about how she was going to stop the price gouging, and she is somewhat kind of now trying to tailor it into, oh, I want to stop the monopolies, what I really want to do. But I have to talk about this convention. I mean, the fact is that this passed the torch. I mean, it's such an appropriate title for what they did to Joe Biden. They literally torched the guy behind the scenes and said, we're for the people, when this is the guy who got 14 million votes, all of the delegates. Kamala got none in 2019 or 2020, and she got none this time, and all of a sudden she's the hero for the Democrat Party. And I agree with Jesse. I think everybody hates everybody else. And if this were the party of unity, Joe Biden would be staying there. I mean, look at the other Democrat presidents. You've got Bill Clinton, you've got Barack Obama, but Joe's mad at Barack because he wouldn't tell him to his face he has to go. And then the whole idea that these people are actually in agreement. Kamala has Joe Biden, the first speaker, or the speaker on the first night, and she's on the last night. This is such a metaphor, the separation, for how she's trying to separate herself from him and his policies. She wants nothing to do with him. If they were joined together, they would have joint fundraisers. They would have joint interviews. There would be a show of unity, but there's not. And this is all about, they say it's for the people. It's for everyone but the people. It's for the party. If they were for the people, it would be for people killed by the illegals that Kamala let into the country. It would be for people who can't afford to buy a house, that now she wants to bankrupt the country and put us in another 2008 economic drama that happened when we gave houses to people who couldn't afford it. And, you know, it should be for the people who live, 2/3 of them paycheck to paycheck in this country. It's not about the people. It's not about passing the torch. And the lies, the best one was Chris Coons this afternoon, who said, you know what? Joe Biden did the right thing. He reevaluated his debate performance, and he said that, you know, he didn't want to constantly be asked by the media about the debate. Baloney. The guy hasn't spoken to the media. I mean, they have lied, they're disingenuous, and they're gaslighting all of us. And let them go on with this, because it's smoke and mirrors, but the American people see something different.
I suppose that Kamala Harris is lucky that when they named the Biden economic policies, they didn't say Biden-Harris-nomics, and they left it at Bidenomics, and she will try to drive that home.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.